Salom Adunu. Tonight I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes.
Nothing has happened beyond the president acting within the confines of the 1992 Constitution. In fact, it is not unprecedented.
President John Dramani Mahama suspends Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu upon advice of the Council of State and sets up a 5-member committee in accord with the Constitution to investigate allegations made against her by some 3 petitioners following a founding of a prima facie case. Justice Bafoboni acts as Chief Justice. Details shortly. Also coming up, government revokes mining lease for Akonta Mining for illegally extending its activities into the Aboy and Tano Nimri forest reserves in the Western North region, despite holding licenses for operations in off-reserve areas only. The company has denied the claims. We'll give you more details on this as well. Still on Eyewitness, New Health Minister pays surprise visit to the Tamale Teaching Hospital in the wake of negligence claims by relatives of a patient who lost their life. There were issues of malfunctioning equipment as well. We'll bring you details tonight on Eyewitness News. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News and in business.
International Monetary Fund project global growth to slow down to 2.8% in 2025.
There is more business in the next 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citinewsroom.com. In the Western region, this is Premier 100.5 FM, Beach 105.5 FM, and Sky 93.5 FM, all in Takrad. In the Bono region, this is Green at 95.9 FM in Sunyani, Hames Radio 106.5 in Gosu in the Ahafo region. In the Shanti region, this is Alpha Radio 104.9 in Kumasi and Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi as well. In the Volta region, Global 105.1 FM in Ho and Adanu 107.7 FM in Adakluwaya. In the Northern region, Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale and Upper West region, Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura. In the Upper East, this is Source 100.1 FM in Boku, Mike 105.3 FM in Navrongo. In the Northeast region, this is Cap 101.3 FM in Nakpan Duri. Your comments are welcome via WhatsApp line 0549 986 996. You can follow me on X at Selom. I don't know the hashtag, as always, is Citi Newsroom. Now, let's get to our first story. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has suspended Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Araba Esabasaki Tokonu following the establishment of a prima facie case against her. This move, announced by presidential spokesperson and Minister of State in charge of government communications, Felix Kwachofosu, is in line with Article 146 6 of the Constitution and was taken in consultation with the Council of State. The President has also set up a 5-member committee to investigate 3 separate petitions brought against the Chief Justice. The committee is chaired by Justice Gabriel Poaman and includes Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu, the former Auditor General, Daniel Yao Domelevu, Major Flora Bazwanura Dalugo of the Ghana Armed Forces, and Professor James Sefajisa of the University of Ghana. The Chief Justice has been suspended with immediate effect pending the outcome of the committee's work. Now let's speak to Minister of State in charge of government communications. Indeed, he signed a statement to the media. Felix Ofosukwache, he joins us on the line. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, Salom.
Yes. How difficult was it for the president to arrive at the determination of the prima facie case, indeed, together with the Council of State and the consequent suspension of the Lady Chief Justice?
Well, I'm not sure whether difficult is the word to use. The fact is that the Constitution provides detailed guidelines on how such a matter should be handled. You would recall that a couple of weeks ago, I issued a statement in which I informed the Ghanaian public that the president has received 3 separate petitions from some individuals and groups in which they make various allegations against the Chief Justice and demand her removal from office. you are a lawyer, so you are pretty familiar with the provisions of the Constitution, which stipulates that once the president receives such a petition, he must go through a certain process. The first step is to consult the Council of State with the view to making a prima facie determination. That is, whether or not there is a basis to proceed any further beyond receiving the petition. That process involves consultation, which ultimately results in furnishing the Chief Justice with copies of the petition and requesting her to respond in order to facilitate the prima facie determination process. This was done. Once the president received the Chief Justice's responses, he continued with the consultation process with the Council of State. That process resulted in the determination of a prima facie case, which then leads to further recourse to the Constitution, which says then that the president must set up a 5-member committee in consultation with the Council of State. The Constitution spells out the membership and composition of this committee, and it is clear from the statement I issued that the president has acted in total consonance with the constitutional stipulation. Once that happens, the petitions get referred to the committee, and then the president then acts on Article 14610 to, by warrant, suspend the Chief Justice pending the determination of the petitions that I have spoken about. So this is exactly what the president has done. It is not entirely unprecedented in that just before President Akufo-Addo left office, he also received a petition calling for the removal of the Chief Justice. He went through a similar process, except that he ended at the prima facie determination stage and said that there was no merit in the petition that had brought it, that it was frivolous, and therefore he did not continue. President Mahama has only made a prima facie determination in consultation with the Council of State, and therefore has kicked into motion other processes outlined in the Constitution.
I see, but do we know how long this committee has to conclude its work in terms of investigating the allegations brought against the Chief Justice?
Well, the Constitution does not impose timelines, and I believe that these are experienced people. We have 2 eminent jurists, very senior jurists who are on the Supreme Court, who have capacity, in my view, to establish a process that is conducive enough for the Chief Justice to be given sufficient time and space to answer to the claims made against in the petitions. I do not anticipate that they will go beyond a reasonable time frame, even though I cannot give you a specific time frame, because no such time frame is prescribed by the Constitution.
I just wanted to find out whether the president, in appointing them, gave them some time limit within which they could work.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, I just wanted to find out whether the president, in appointing them, gave them some time limit within which they could work.
So no such time limits were given. It is expected that they will act within reasonable time. Because the president cannot do anything that is not prescribed by the Constitution. The Constitution does not impose any timeline.
Very well. So I mean, whilst it is, the case that the Constitution lays out in 146, how the Chief Justice will be removed if the need arises, etc., which makes it quite mandatory in the processes and the step-by-step the president has been following. When you look at 14610, that leaves the president with some discretion. It says where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, the president may. So that's in relation to the suspension of the Chief Justice whilst the committee works. The president could have decided to exercise his discretion otherwise. Why did he choose to suspend her whilst he could have exercised the discretion such that the Chief Justice could have remained in office or could remain in office?
It's a valid point you raise. A discretion conferred by the Constitution ought to be exercised reasonably. In fact, the Constitution itself requires that be done. But we have a situation where the Chief Justice, who superintends Ghana's judiciary, has been accused of some wrongdoing. Now you have a committee made up of persons who work within the judiciary, who she supervises. So one can raise issues about the likelihood of interference. And that is a point that must be considered. Is it ideal? Is it proper? Is it something that can stand scrutiny for the person against whom these claims have been made to continue to supervise a judicial system whose members are part of this adjudicating process? The second point is that the Chief Justice has significant administrative work to do in terms of the day-to-day running of the judiciary. And this matter is one also that requires her fullest attention because her position is at stake. Indeed, her image is also at stake. Her reputation is at stake. So she needs to give it utmost attention to the extent that she believes that there are reasons that vindicate her and render the petition unmeritorious. And to run this case and mount a credible defense whilst taking on board the huge responsibility that comes with administering Ghana's judicial system imposes a bit of a burden in the view of the president. So it was the president's judgment that he needs maximum concentration to be able to mount a credible defense, whilst also eliminating any likelihood of interference, given that she is in a powerful position as head of Ghana's judiciary.
I see. I mean, there are those who have said that the threshold for removing a CJ appears quite low compared to other senior or other heads of the other arms of government. The president, for example, parliament, 2/3, and all of that. The speaker of parliament, even higher, 3/4, etc. of parliament. But in the case of the CJ, it's just a petition from anybody to the president then ferries it to the Council of State. Prima facie determination may be made or not, and the process starts. What will you say? Will you agree with those who say that perhaps the framers could have done a better job by tightening this a bit? What would you say?
Well, this would be post facto criticism. I think all reasonable persons would agree that any improvements in our constitutional dispensation will serve us well. If we determine loopholes, we can tighten them and ensure that the Constitution serves us even better than it has done all these years. But as we speak, this is what we have. The President can only abide by the dictates of the Constitution as we have it currently. It is the provisions in Article 146 that guide the process. And therefore, the President has no room to maneuver. There's no wiggle space whatsoever. If in future, and perhaps we can take advantage of the ongoing constitutional review process to improve upon the framework within which these matters are handled. I don't think that any reasonable person would necessarily disagree with the position that you have just canvassed, except that we can only work with what we have, and that is what the president is constrained to do at this particular moment.
You're a politician. Are you concerned about the political and social ramifications this may pose? So, for example, people think that touching the CJ is an attack on democracy, and the fact that this has happened now opens the way for other presidents and future governments to do the same if they do not like a chief justice or they do not like how a chief justice is administering the judiciary for political reasons. You're a politician. What are your thoughts around this?
The fundamental principle of democratic governance is accountability. It is that the people are sovereign and that all public officials, irrespective of who they are, including the president, the Speaker of Parliament, the Chief Justice, are subject to accountability. So there must exist a process to hold such office holders to account. So you can criticize the strength and rigor of the current process, but the fact that all public office holders, irrespective of how lofty their positions are subject to accountability cannot be overemphasized. So the fundamental principle inherent in that also is that there can be no sacred cows, that no matter who you are, if you are deemed to have violated the dictates of your office or acted in a manner that frowns or that contravenes any known laws or rules or regulations, you must be held to account. And it does not really apply only to the Chief Justice. The President himself is subject to impeachment based on specific wrongdoing as spelled out in the Constitution. The Speaker of Parliament is subject to removal if he conducts himself in a way that is deemed inimical to the laws that govern his office. Myself, a minister, I am subject to sanctions if I conduct myself in a certain way. All public office holders have that, if you like, pillar or cloud of accountability hanging over them. So we cannot begin a conversation that says that merely because of how lofty somebody's position is or how sensitive the person's position is, they should be above scrutiny and they cannot be touched. That should not be the case. The argument can always be had as to whether or not the processes outlined for exacting that accountability are rigorous enough and are foolproof and are insulated from unnecessary political interference and maneuvering. That argument can be had. And I have already told you that I believe the president himself is not opposed to strengthening the constitutional arrangements and ensuring that one arm of government does not necessarily interfere in the other. It is a position that he has canvassed, even when he was in opposition. Indeed, he has spoken about constitutional reform. He is the one who initiated the current constitutional reforms, which paves way for further improvements in our constitutional arrangements. But the summary of what I'm saying is that we cannot have a situation where we say that because Mr. A or Madam B's position is sensitive, even when there is a need to go through a certain process to hold them accountable because of specific claims of wrongdoing against them, we should shrink from doing so. That would also defeat the very essence of constitutionalism. Very well. Thank you so much, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye. But do you know when this committee, 5-member committee, is to start work? Do we know? Well, I think that they are to start work immediately. But of course, some preparatory efforts would have to go into getting them to start. Again, they have begun, as I said to you. Very well. They've not begun with that. The preparatory processes have begun, yes. Very well. Thank you so much, Felix Kwakye Ofosu, Minister of State in charge of Government Communications, speaking to us on a statement he issued earlier in the day, announcing to the public the suspension of the Chief Justice, her leadership, Gertrude Tokonu, in line with constitutional provisions. As you may well be aware, 3 persons have petitioned the president for her removal. The president forwarded the petitions to the Council of State. There were inputs taken from her, and now we understand that the prima facie case is being made out against her, and so the president is triggered Article 146(10) of the Constitution, which gives him the power to suspend the CJ, whilst the committee he set up, 5-member committee made up of 2 Supreme Court justices and 3 individuals who are neither Council of State members, lawyers, judicial council, just ordinary people. So these 3 have been added to the 2 Supreme Court justices chosen to do this work, and then so the process appears to have started. My colleague Fred Jabano is in the studio. He will take us through the list of the 5 to tell us exactly who they are and what they bring to the table. But in the meantime, let's speak to Samuel Atacha, Honorable. A former member of Parliament. He's a private legal practitioner, for his views on this. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. How did you receive the news of the CJ suspension?
It's unfortunate. And my humble view that you mentioned Article 146. And then the president became president on the basis of the Constitution, and staring at everybody in the face, including the president and the members of the Council of State. There's a writ before the Supreme Court, which is also defined in the very Constitution. And on the back of that is application for interlocutory injunction, filed on the 27th of March, 2025. And the import of that is to restrain the president and the Council of State from proceeding on the consultation processes for the removal of the Chief Justice under Article 146. So when the president and the Council of State should ignore the application for interlocutory injunction, they are in contempt of the Supreme Court. They are disrespecting the constitutional postulates that they sign on to. So it is very unfortunate. I am of the view that there is no indecent haste to get a new Chief Justice or even an acting Chief Justice. Everything should go through due process. And when the Supreme Court will make a determination one or the other, and the coast is clear that, look, the president should continue with what he's doing, that is the way to go. So for my part, yes. But it's. What is the law? Educate us. Can the Supreme Court stop the president from carrying out a job, a constitutionally mandated job like this one? Can the Supreme Court stop him from doing so? Of course. Go and pay regard to Article 2 of the Constitution. That any act which is inconsistent with the Constitution or a conduct that contravenes the Constitution is not void, it's of no consequence. So if the president is perpetuating illegality, constitutional illegality, or even a constitutional coup d'etat, you trying to subvert the judiciary in the name of executive powers, there's a Supreme Court the forum to checkmate him and everybody. So we shouldn't give an impression that when you become the president, that you can subvert the very constitution that brought you into power. It's a huge contradiction that we should watch. Because our democracy, which is a constitutional democracy, is very young. And I thought the president will respect the Supreme Court that is about to determine whether or not the Council of State and himself can proceed with the business of trying to remove the Chief Justice. And they didn't want to wait for that determination. So as I'm talking now, on top of my head, I mean, it's contempt, which is staring at them in the face.
So will you want to activate the processes to exact the punishment of contempt of the Supreme Court on the President and the Council of State then?
With the greatest respect, the lawyer of record is Godfred Yebu Adami. He is the one who is aiding Vincent Eko Asefua, the Member of Parliament. So I think that is his remit. It's not my remit. I'm trying to contribute to the important issues you are raising by trying to let you understand that so far as I'm concerned, and with my elementary understanding of the law, there's a huge contempt staring at the face of the President and the Council of State.
I see. But be that as it may, the decision has been made. And, I mean, many people have characterized it differently. Some say that it is a day for accountability. Others think it's a witch hunt. Where will you stand on this?
Well, I wouldn't want to call it anything. I believe I will not want to impute ill motives to anybody. But what I'm saying is that insofar as a conduct is inconsistent with the Constitution, if there is any attempt by any entity, be it Parliament or even executive, to subvert the very Constitution that gives them significance, it's an abhorrent position, and we should all stand against it. It's not right.
But you see, this position, yes, we know about this position, but I mean, perhaps you politicians, I mean, we've seen many times actions in the Supreme Court. There's a writ filed, interlocutory injunction application filed as well. I mean, the recent case being the NDC versus the EC in respect of some registration, etc. An interlocutory injunction was filed. The AG was a party in that matter. The EC as well. What did we see? Irrespective of the interlocutory application before the Supreme Court, the EC went ahead and did this registration and did all it had to do. And so it's not something that we have come to be used to us in doing. We know this is before the Supreme Court. We don't care. We go ahead and do what pleases us. Is that not what has brought us here?
I don't think so. It's the impotence of somebody in not trying to hold the EC before the Supreme Court for contempt, which will promote the impunity. I'm saying that people don't want to uphold the Constitution. Understand? Because it is that book which, when you joke with it, then you are treading in the areas of high treason. They call it high crime for you to tinker with the Constitution. So if there is a contempt opportunity for you to bring EC before a court of competent jurisdiction for them to deal with the issue of contempt, albeit the EC will be heard and the court determines it, and you don't do it, it's not a nonsense for others to follow in the same manner. No, at all.
I see. But I mean, let me take your thoughts on this. The matter we are talking about as before the Supreme Court, I mean, I think there are 5 justices on that matter. One of them is Justice Samuel Adibo Asiedu, who incidentally is one of the 2 justices of the Supreme Court on this 5-member committee. What does that mean? And what does that also mean for the pending case? He's on that case as well. Indeed, he was the judge who could not turn up the last time, for which reason the matter was adjourned. Now we see him on this 5-member committee. What does that mean for that case before the Supreme Court?
What is the name of the judge you mentioned? I lost it.
Justice Asiedu, but his full name is Justice Samuel Adibo Asiedu.
Yes, whatever it is, you could color every judge with whatever political colors you have. But essentially, if you
I'm not talking about political coloration. I mean, I'm just looking at how it works administratively and even judicially.
Well, it doesn't change anything.
That he's on a committee to determine whether the CJ is aired or not, and at the same time also at the Supreme Court sitting on a case that is seeking to declare the actions of the president unconstitutional in respect of how the president and the Council of State have conducted themselves?
Well, the law is that unless you can show bias, you can see to for an attorney general. Those issues you are trying to canvass were raised. If you can't show bias, then the office of the judge cannot be tainted. The office of the judge should continue. If he wants to recuse himself that he believes is conflicted, fine, that is up to him to do. But apart from that, if he is supposed to determine a matter and he sat on the matter before, or he's even sitting on the matter, and he doesn't want to recuse himself, apart from ill motives and bias, the Supreme Court has held that you can't stop him. That is what I know as one of the important things that happened in Duval as Attorney General.
So, I mean, we are getting some education from you. What does this also mean? Can she's a Supreme Court judge first before being a CJ? So this process is to remove her from office as CJ. Does that affect her status as a Supreme Court judge?
It doesn't affect her status as a Supreme Court judge. But functionally, what it means is that if somebody is being investigated, you see, with a view to removing him or getting him, clean up, I don't think it would be right for you to say that, that individual should be sitting on other cases, although not as a Chief Justice. So the person will stay aside as a Chief Justice. And why would you want to involve somebody who cannot function temporarily as a Chief Justice to be sitting on other matters? So that is very grave to say you have been suspended to function as a Chief Justice. Would it be all right, even from an ethical perspective, the one who's been suspended as a Chief Justice until affairs are looked into, and to secure her an acquittal or otherwise to sit on some other matters? And who will appoint that particular person? Is it not the active Chief Justice who do the empaneling of judges? I don't think the acting Chief Justice will empanel, the suspended Chief Justice, to adjudicate on matters. I don't think so.
So the clarity I wanted was, does the suspension carry with it her office as a justice of the Supreme Court? Yes, she could be there, but the acting Chief Justice may not empanel her. That doesn't mean she's not there. I
believe so. So it doesn't negate the fact that she's a justice of the Supreme Court. You understand? But and she's still the Chief Justice, but it's the Chief Justice on suspension. Until the process comes to a conclusion, she's still the Chief Justice, although her functions have been suspended.
So, Tachud, assuming the petitioner's triumph in this whole process, which then leads to her removal eventually, will she still be a Supreme Court judge, or she loses everything?
I think if she's removed as a Chief Justice, then by logic, she can't sit as a Supreme Court judge again, because if she's not qualified to sit as a Chief Justice, then she is disqualified to sit as a Justice of the Supreme Court. You see, because this process of impeachment is something which has gotten to do with moral turpitude, some serious matter, and which makes her unfit to function as a Chief Justice. So if she is unfit to function as a Chief Justice, how can she be fit to function as a judge of the Supreme Court? I don't think by logic and reason she'll be out of the judiciary. That's my point of view.
I see. So, yes, she's been suspended now. Can she resign from the position of a CJ now and save everybody the process, or it's too late for her to do so? Could she have even resigned yesterday or 2 days before, to save everybody the difficulty? Or once there was a matter, she cannot resign?
I don't believe it's fait accompli. You see, because right now the conduct of the president and the Council of State, I've been challenged in the Supreme Court. You don't want to pay attention to that. That the Supreme Court is of no consequence because there is a rush to get a Chief Justice impeached. No, and you should know that. So that arm of government is challenging it's being called upon to look at the issues relating to the impeachment or the attempted impeachment of the Chief Justice. So those matters, with the greatest of respect, supersede what the President and the Council of State has done.
I see.
So it is not fait accompli. It is not conclusive that what the President and the Council of State have done is final. No, because they are both the President and the Council of State are subordinated to the interpretation by the Supreme Court, and these matters are pending.
I see. Your colleagues, your colleagues or former colleagues in Parliament have issued a statement. Point 2 of the statement describes the move as a politically motivated witch hunt to control the judiciary. Is that a view you share as well?
Whatever it is, we shouldn't promote constitutional lawlessness. These are the words of my lecturer in jurisprudence, Mr. Chutikata. You shouldn't promote that. You see, it is easy to say so many things now, and I could tell you the truth. It should never be said that President Mahama wants his own Chief Justice. So that's why some people might want to read political motives into this. I'm saying that if you are not careful, then you want to try and control an arm of government, and that will be very unconstitutional.
So, do you see her being reinstated?
In fact, I'm of the humble view that the process that has been commenced by the President as well as the Council of State, both actions have been checkmated by the pending interlocutory injunction. I keep saying that. You understand? So the President is subordinated to the Constitution. The Constitution created the Supreme Court. Yes. So the President cannot set to naught the role of the Supreme Court and say that irrespective of the pending application for interlocutory injunction, which is trying to checkmate you from starting your processes to remove the Chief Justice, I've nevertheless set up not the power of the Supreme Court to determine the matter. I submit again, humbly, that this is contempt of court.
Very well. Thank you so much. The Honorable Samuel
pleasure as always.
Atasia, private legal practitioner now, and former member of Parliament for the Boaka South constituency, also former member of former minister for Works and Housing. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. My colleague, Fred Jabano, is in the studio to help us appreciate who the 5 committee members are, and then we move on from there. So, Fred, welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, interesting times we are in. The President has appointed a 5-member committee in consultation with the Council of State. Who are these people?
Yes, so we have the chairman of the committee being Gabriel Scott Poaman. He is a justice of the Supreme Court. He was nominated to the Supreme Court by President John Dramani Mahama in 2015. Prior to going to the Supreme Court, he had been practicing law as a lawyer for about 26 years before he went to the Supreme Court. Also, during the time of practicing law, He served as a commissioner, one of the commissioners for the Constitution Review Commission of Ghana in 2010 and 2011. This was during the tenure of Professor John Evans Atta Mills. So he served as a commissioner on the Review Commission, Constitutional Review Commission. And he also, at one time, was the General Secretary of the PNC. So this is Justice Gabriel Scott Poaman, who is the chairman of this particular committee. The other person who is also a justice of the Supreme Court is Justice Kwame Edibu-Asiedu. Justice Asiedu was nominated to the Supreme Court.
Just to add, Poaman was the General Secretary of the
PNC. Yes. He was a General Secretary.
I think he's since resigned from
he resigned from the PNC. He was a General Secretary and even was elected a parliamentary candidate for the party at one time.
Okay.
He resigned from the PNC later. After some years, he was made promoted or nominated to the Supreme Court in 2015.
Exactly.
And then we come to Justice Kwame Edibu-Asiedu, who is also a justice of the Supreme Court. He was nominated to the Supreme Court in 2022 by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Before joining the Supreme Court, he had served within the judicial service. He started as a magistrate, rose through the ranks, went to become a Court of Appeals judge, then to the Supreme Court. Before that, going into the judicial service, he worked with the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice as a legal officer. This was somewhere in 1994. So when it comes to Justice Kwame Edibu-Asiedu, this is his background. Justice of the Supreme Court who had risen through the ranks as a magistrate to the highest point of the judicial service as a Justice of the Supreme Court, served on the worked with the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice as a legal officer, then worked as a lawyer also. The next person is Daniel Yao Domelevo. Daniel Yao Domelevo is an accountant. He was first appointed, as the head of the Auditor General. He's a Auditor General. Was appointed as Auditor General in 2016. This was at the dying moment of John Dramani Mahama's first term of government in 2016. He appointed Yao Domelevo as Auditor General. He served in that position till the year 2020, when he was asked to proceed on leave by Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. According to the president, he wanted him to take his 123 accumulated working leave, which he hadn't taken. This particular leave ran into his retirement, so he retired. But Mr. Domelevo challenged this particular decision of the president at the Supreme Court, and the court upheld his application, saying that he was unconstitutionally asked to go home. Recently, Yao Domelevo was appointed in 2024 after the election of John Dramani Mahama to be part of the oral committee of the government. They have since submitted their work to the president. He is currently working with one of the international organizations, the UN, doing some consultancy job for them. The next person is Major Flora Dalagu. She is an officer. She is an officer with the Ghana Armed Forces. Outside that, there's not so much. There's no so much information about her. But she is an officer of the Ghana Armed Forces. Then we have Professor James Sefajisa. Professor James Jisa is an associate professor of sociology with the College of Humanities of the University of Ghana. He's been in academia for a while now. He's worked with the University of Ghana since he entered academia. So that's what we know about Professor James Sefajisa.
Very well. Thanks so much, Fred. But does the statement say anywhere that Justice Bafo-Boni takes over, or it's just by the consequence of the events?
There's no statement by the president, but what we know is that anytime there's the absence of a chief justice, the senior most Supreme Court judge takes the position as acting chief justice. So let me take you back into history. You recall when Justice Theodora Wood retired, the position of Chief Justice was held by Justice Atuguba till a new Chief Justice was appointed. That was Justice Ekufu. When Justice Ekufu also retired, the next senior most person was Justice Doche. Even though he acted in a number of days, he acted as Chief Justice till Justice Tokonu, Justice Tokonu was appointed as Chief Justice. So now the next, or the senior most Supreme Court judge is Justice Bafu Boni, who has been in the Supreme Court longer than any other person currently serving on the Supreme Court. He was appointed somewhere in 2008. 2008. He was appointed
together with Justice Doche, Justice Eni,
exactly.
Justice Rose Owusu, and one other person.
In 2008.
There were 5 in 2008.
Yes.
I see. So that's, interesting times ahead. Fred, thanks so much for coming to us with this. And just to say a few things about Justice Tokonu herself. She worked at the Fuga & Co. company, a law firm in Accra, before founding the Social Law Consult, where she was as managing partner until 2004 when she was appointed a Justice of the High Court. She worked at the High Court until 2012 October when she was elevated to the Court of Appeal, and then she was later nominated to the Supreme Court in November 2019 and was sworn in December 2019, served for a few years and became the Chief Justice. So that is Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokonu, Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, who has been suspended by the President in consultation with the Council of State following 3 petitions brought against her by 3 citizens of the Republic in respect of how she's discharged her role. And it's also important to point out that Article 1461 lays out 3 grounds upon which a Chief Justice could be removed from office. One is stated misbehavior, the other one is incompetence, and the third is the inability to perform her functions of office arising from infirmity of body or mind. Again, we do not know what the petitions contain. We've not had access to the petitions. We don't know what they contain. The Constitution says all the process should be held in camera, so we do not know what the petitions contain. That also makes it quite difficult for us to pass some views on the matter. But that is what the Constitution has said, and it does appear that the process will go through to the end without the details of the petition being leaked. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. As I did mention earlier, the minority in Parliament has issued a statement on the happenings. The statement is headed Statement by the Minority in Parliament condemning President Mohammed's brazen judicial coup and attempt to undermine the judiciary. They have said a number of things in the statement, and the lawyer or the counsel for the minority caucus in Parliament is the Honorable John Darkun, who is Member of Parliament for Suame. He joins us on the line to help us appreciate the thinking of the minority in the face of the suspension of the CJ. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. You say that this is politically motivated. It's a witch hunt to control the judiciary. How exactly do you mean? The president is just following what the Constitution says. Petition comes, ferry it to the Council of State together with yourself, determine a prima facie case, and you may suspend the CJ. That's what the president has done. Why do you say it's politically motivated, and why do you say it's a witch hunt?
The president is not following the Constitution. The president is following the NBC. The president is following John Ketia. The president is following the General Secretary of the NDC. The president is following his people who have always called for the removal of the CJ. The president is following his own promises he made to the NDC lawyers when he met them sometime 2023 in Akosombo. That is what the president is doing. He promised them that when he gets to power, he are going to remove the Chief Justice. The CJ Kesia, just last week or so, was on TV saying that the CJ must go and then the Electoral Commission must follow. The president is following the NDC political plan to the election. That is what the president is following. How? We live in this country under this Fourth Republic, the Article 146 has never been used to remove any Chief Justice from the Republic of Ghana. Last week, we all spoke about it. For President Mills, Nana Akufo-Addo, the inherited Chief Justice, they work with them. How is it that this particular Chief Justice has been the target of this NDC government from day one? So don't tell me about following any judicial process. Don't tell me about following the constitutional provision. Don't tell me that, because I know, and you all know, every Ghanaian is aware that the NDC promises members. The NDC, led by the General Secretary and the Chairman, promised the people of Ghana that they are going to remove the Chief Justice. So it doesn't matter the propriety of the petition that was sent to the Council of State. It doesn't matter. We should see the removal of the Chief Justice for what it is. It is a political vendetta. This is a political hack. This is Ghana's day of infamy. This is Ghana's day of shame. This is the act of the NDC to subjugate the judiciary. They have promised their people that they are going to pack the court with their own people. That is what he promised his people when he met the lawyers sometime in 2023.
But I mean, these are your words, that he was going to pack, the courts, etc. And I mean, but you've not been able to point me to any part of the Constitution, especially in respect of 146, that the president has breached or flouted. Everything he has done is been in accord with the letter and spirit of the Constitution.
The process is that. Do you think that the framers of the Constitution expected that a Chief Justice will be removed on this flimsy petition that's flying around?
But have you seen the petition? We haven't seen it. What's in the petition?
I'm saying we've heard things.
Yeah, but the things you've heard may not be true.
His own people. Mustafa Gandhi, one of the representatives of the NDP, he's around talking about the fact that two more petitions are coming. They know. They are saying we've seen some of the things around. They are sharing. They know. But here's the point, my brother. When we made this Constitution, we made the Constitution to establish and respect the independence of each of the arm of the government. The president is acting, you will say, in accordance with the Constitution, but you should remember that when he made the promise to his people, they knew they were going to trump up charges. They were going to trump up charges and make sure they use that as the basis for the removal. On what basis did the Citi Ketia say that they were going to remove the Chief Justice and remove the Electoral Commission?
Where did Citi Ketia say that? Where did he and when did he say that?
Well, I mean, I have the video. Maybe I can share with you. You don't have it, but the video is all about.
Yeah, but when did he say that?
Oh, this about last week or so. He was being interviewed.
And he said that they will remove the CJ and the EC boss.
He said that he said the CJ must go and then the Electoral Commission must also follow. He said that.
I see.
I can furnish you that if you want. The NDC chairman, that is what he said. Now, if he says it, do you expect me to believe that what is happening is just a normal constitutional process going on? No. I will see this for what it is.
But you see,
that this is politics. This is political.
Yes, Counsel. A lot of these may be hearsay, and you know the effect of hearsay statements.
What I said yesterday is not hearsay. The video is there. I have the video.
Very well, but you know that political. Yes, but political actors say a lot of things, but sometimes those things are not.
It's not just any political actor.
No, but he's a political actor. Yes, but he's a political actor.
He's not just a political actor.
Very well.
I believe that he sits in cabinet. And so when he says that, you should take that as a serious matter. You should interrogate him. You can call him and put him on the line and ask him why he said that they remove the CJ and remove the Electoral Commission.
But haven't we brought this? Haven't we brought this upon ourselves? Of course, I recall that prior to the removal of Charlotte Osei as well, there were many functionaries of your party, many of them, who also made similar comments that they will remove Charlotte Osei because she was not doing well, she was doing that, she was in bed with the NDC, etc. And I won't say that she was removed because MPP functionaries at the time called for it. Perhaps the process was made to work to the end. So why are we trying to make this very different? The process is there, and the process has to be exhausted.
There we go. Look, I'm not here, and I think last week I spoke with you. I am not here to defend the removal of Charles Osei years back. No. But in any case, Charles Osei's case is quite different because this is an arm of government. And like I said, I will never defend that. And I remember last week I told you that. That is completely different. This is the head of the judiciary. This is an independent arm of government we are talking about. And so you don't want to always be referring to that. Look, if we sit here to defend this, what we are encouraging is the destruction of our democracy. Because then, you, my brother, in 4 years' time, when the NDC is out of power, when something like this is triggered, you have to now tell the NDC that, but you did the same thing. Is that what we want to do to ourselves? Is that the kind of democracy we want to build? Can't we move on as a country and do better? Do we have to always go back to the dark days? We should be improving in anything we do. And so this removal of the suspension of the CJ has set a very bad precedent that now, when any government comes, all you have to do, get 2 or 3 people, write a petition, nobody knows what is in the petition, and then, hey, voila, we have made a decision. Prima facie case against you. Go home, or you've been suspended. You should be worried about this. There should be no way we should continue to refer to what happened years back. What happened against Samuel Osei? Nobody is defending that. It's past and gone. As a country,
will you blame what people have called the looseness of the provisions on the removal of the CJ and other justices of the superior courts for this? Because when you look at the removal of the president, that appears a bit tighter. Look at the removal of the Speaker of Parliament. That is also very tight. Will you blame the Constitution for this difficulty we are facing?
I won't do that because the framers of the Constitution expect a president to always act in the best interest of the country and to use the better angels, in him, not to resort to the dark side and not to resort to the extremist part of his political party. That is not what the framers of the Constitution expected. And in any case, the framers of the Constitution expected that an act to remove the CJ would be a grave matter and not any loose, flimsy petition. And so at this point, I will not blame the way the Constitution has been framed. Of course, we are in the constitutional review processes. We can have a look at it. But look, when President Kufuor inherited Chief Justice Aban, he worked with him. When President Mahama inherited Chief Justice Wood, he worked with her. We've been able to hold this for about 5 different presidents, or 4 years. And now we are on this level where instead of growing, we are destroying our country. In fact, I was shocked when I saw the release because I never in my life believed that the President Mahama we know as a Democrat, as a respecter of rule of law, would succumb to the dark side of his political party. I was shocked. And remember, my brother, 22nd April 2025 will remain the day of shame of our country. It will live in infamy. 22nd April 2025. Nobody will
are we not getting ahead of ourselves? Because she has not been removed. She has only been suspended. Is it a case that you don't see her coming back?
We believe that this process in fact, this decision should even be reversed. We believe that this decision should be reversed. Why should the president suspend the Chief Justice? And the suspension goes out there to tarnish her image. I don't know what they have now, what they are doing. I don't see her coming back.
But Council, is it not standard? Is it not standard procedure or standard practice?
No, it is the beginning of the end of our constitutional experiment. This single act, even suspending the Chief Justice, an affront to judicial independence. What the president and his people are doing is to subjugate the judiciary, and we should all resist it. My brother, the reason why Article 3, 4, 5, and 6 of our Constitution was made was for some of these purposes. So every Ghanaian, read Article 3, Clause 4, 5, and 6. The reason why those provisions were put in the Constitution was for situations like this. We must resist it. It is not good for our country. And for me, I'm afraid. I'm afraid for the future of this country.
Very well. Thank you so much, John Darko, Honorable Member of Parliament for Swami, and of course the Legal Counsel for the Minority Caucus. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We're staying on this matter. Let's speak to somebody from academia, Professor Kojo Appiagyei-Etua. He's an associate professor at University of Ghana School of Law. He joins us on the line for his thoughts on this particular one. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Did this come to you as a surprise, or you read in between the lines to know that we're going to get here?
Good evening, and thanks for having me. Well, in a sense, it's not too surprising because as the Constitution, the way the whole process for the removal of the Chief Justice has been framed, it wasn't surprising that this is where we would come to.
What do you foresee going forward? Do you think that we could have her reinstated? She will appear before the committee will do its work. Do you foresee that she could be reinstated, or you think, this essentially ends it for her?
Oh, it's difficult to tell. So anything can happen. That's what I can say. For example, we don't know the content of the petition. We don't know her response to the petition. And even if you do, as a lawyer, there's a limit to which you can, if you like, predict the outcome of the case. So I think that the process will be followed, and then we'll come to a conclusion one way or the other.
I posed this question to Atacha earlier, but help us get some understanding. The removal is, the petition is to remove her as CJ. Assuming touchwood, it goes to the end and she's removed, does she go entirely from the Supreme Court bench, or she remains as a normal Supreme Court judge?
I think she will remain as a normal Supreme Court judge.
I see, because it is the office of the CJ the petitioners are seeking to take her out of.
That's right. That is my understanding of the process, and specifically what is at stake here is her removal as the Chief Justice, and she's first of all a member of the Supreme Court, and that is the basis for the decision in the Ajay Chum case, that the procedures that are available to every Supreme Court judge should also be made available to the Chief Justice, because she is first and foremost a member of the Supreme Court, and so that should be the basis. If she is removed from office, she should remain as the Chief Justice and
Supreme
Justice
Court
of the Supreme Court.
Judge,
yes.
Yeah.
And if she has to be removed as the Justice of the Supreme Court, it's a different process to follow.
I see. So what does this mean for justice delivery? We know she's quite active. She sits on a number of cases at the Supreme Court. Now that she's been suspended, the panels will have to be reconstituted. What will be the implication for justice delivery?
Well, I'm not sure justice delivery will be affected so much, because the Constitution makes room for somebody to stand in for the Chief Justice when such a situation arises. So the senior most person in the Supreme Court will stand in as acting Supreme Court, as acting Chief Justice, until the matter is resolved.
Yes, I'm even speaking in her capacity as a Supreme Court judge, because she sits on quite a number of cases. It's not her administrative role as CJ. Her judicial duty as a Supreme Court judge. She sits on a number of cases. And what happens now that she's been suspended? We don't know how long the suspension will take. What happens to the cases she's sitting on, together with other judges, of course, now?
Well, for that, I think it will be left to the the acting Chief Justice to determine that.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. Thanks so much for your time as always and for your education on matters of law. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We have Professor Kojo P.J. Etuach, Associate Professor, University of Ghana School of Law, speaking to us on this. A number of your messages, a lot of your messages have been coming through, and I'll find time and do justice to some of them. Hawa, who has been quiet all evening, has some stories. Hawa.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Adam Matiku, has been sacked following an unannounced visit to the hospital by the Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Akando. The minister's visit was prompted by widespread social media allegations of negligence related to the death of a patient at the accident and emergency ward of the facility. According to the minister, the visit was aimed at gaining first-hand insight into the challenges impacting healthcare delivery in the northern region. Now, the Deputy Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, Isaac Tando, has expressed surprise at Akonta Mining's denial of illegal mining operations in the Tano Numeri Forest Reserve. This follows government revocation of the company's mining lease after a raid that led to over 50 arrests and the seizure of excavators and weapons. Akonta Mining has denied the claims, calling them politically motivated. Speaking on the City Breakfast Show earlier today, Isaac Tando insisted that there is substantial evidence linking the company to the activities. He further warned that firms and public officials found complicit in the case will be investigated.
I'm actually surprised about the earlier letter you wrote. I'm yet to look at it, but there was a clear-cut violation of what ought not to be done. Yes, there are coordinates, there are photos, there are videos, there are evidences of what was happening within that. I will just go straight ahead to revoke the license. I mean, if they have any cause to come against or file against the decision, I mean, they have every right to do so. But we have enough evidence not to let them continue with what they are doing. In any case, this is just the beginning. People can write letters or write rebuttals and stuff in the newspaper. I don't think it's anything to, I would bother my head with that. I would leave the AG to process and start with its work and make sure that the noise we've been making, at least the brains behind some of these catastrophic activities, are dealt with in a manner that will put other people away.
Isaac Tando is the Deputy Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me just take a few of your messages. They've come in their hundreds. MPP should run to the Supreme Court and file an injunction against the suspension. That's what they are good for, you say. As Akasokri Joseph Bongo. This one says, I support the President's decision to suspend the CJ following the Council of State's advice. This action underscores the importance of accountability and integrity within our judiciary. Wellington Ayebi from Ho Central constituency. Nyoja Bright in Nottinghamshire in UK says the CJ should first sit aside and clear herself as worthy to lead the judiciary before coming back. But I say unto you that as it was in the days of EC, so shall it be in the days of the CJ. The people from Oyarifa says, and why would you have also wanted the president not to act the way he acted? Discretion means discretion. Okay, I'm sure that's in respect of my question about the may being discretionary. Jones Adobo in La says the suspension of the CJ is in the right direction so far. No one can question any abuse of power by the president. As for the revocation of the Akota mining license, it's been long overdue, you say. So, Jones, it does appear that now the people are angry enough, right? Because that doesn't conclude the message as it's always been. Francis says something is wrong with us. Is the CJ the major priority as affecting the growth of Ghana? Well, I'll take a break on that and then do City Business News when we return. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now.
Go. Gugomi, at what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I'll go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the gobe too small.
Go.
Joe Pana. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Polytank is everywhere, durable and authentic. Stronger brand you can trust. Polytank, we get some more Rambo and get some more super. And the Polytank, we did Polytank. Papa no Ankasa. Polytank, the original, always the best.
Charlie, where are you?
Boss man, I'm at the banco.
Really? But your car is in front of your house.
Bro, my bank on my phone, Charlie.
Oh, how?
EcoBank, bro. With EcoBank mobile app, I can do everything, anywhere, anytime. Listen, I just checked my account balance, paid Ahmed's school fees, and sent money to my grandma at Walwale.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Masa, just download the EcoBank mobile app from the Google Play Store or the App Store or dial *770# and be your own bank manager.
Manager.
Whether to pay bills or fees, to check account statements, send money across Ghana, abroad, and more, EcoBank mobile app has got it covered. EcoBank Mobile, making everyday people live everyday lives the EcoBank way. EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. The details now. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has lowered its global growth projection, forecasting the world economy to expand by just 2.8% in 2025, down from the 3.3% estimate released in January. This revision is outlined in the IMF's April 2025 World Economic Outlook, which attribute the slowdown to intensifying trade tensions and increasing policy uncertainty across major economies. Daniel Sakete has more in this report.
This is coming on the back of the United States announcing a wave of tariffs, with trading partners responding with their own countermeasures, creating ripple effects across global supply chains and investor sentiment. In advanced economies, growth is now expected to slow down to 1.4% in 2025, with the US economy seeing a notable downgrade to 1.8%, nearly a full percentage point below previous estimates. In emerging markets and developing economies, growth is expected to slow down to 3.7% in 2025 and 3.9% in 2026, with significant downgrades for countries affected most by recent trade measures such as China. Global headline inflation is expected to decline at a pace that is slightly slower than what was expected in January, reaching 4.3% in 2025 and 3.6% in 2026, with notable upward revisions for advanced economies and slight downward revisions for emerging markets and developing economies in 2025. The IMF flagged intensifying downside risks, warning that a deeper trade war, rising financial instability, and fragile policy buffers could worsen the economic landscape. Vulnerable emerging markets could face capital flight, currency pressures, and increasing debt burdens. The fund also noted that a reversal or de-escalation of current trade policies could offer a reprieve or potentially revive global growth.
Daniel Sakiti filed that report. Meanwhile, Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, is urging countries grappling with unstable public debt to take bold but necessary actions to restore fiscal stability. Speaking at the 2025 IMF World Bank Group Spring Meetings, Kristalina Georgieva stressed the importance of proactive reforms to reset and rebuild national economies.
Countries with unsustainable debt should move proactively to resolve sustainability problems, including in some cases by taking the difficult decision to seek debt restructuring. And I'm pleased to mention today that the Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable will soon publish a playbook for country authorities considering debt restructuring to help them in their decision making, to help them and everybody else around the table. Policy trade-offs can be eased by what? By lifting growth potential. You grow more, you can do more.
Kristalina Georgieva is the Managing Director of the IMF. The government is set to roll out its flagship Feed the Industry program in the coming days to support and strengthen agro-industrial zones across the country. Government maintains that the initiative, which is designed to promote large-scale cultivation of grains, oilseed and meat, will also enhance sustainable agricultural practices. Speaking at the second Co-Business Forum on April 19, the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosojari, noted that the Afram Plains Agro-Industrial Zone is a key component of the program.
We are implementing Feed the Industry program, which promotes contract commercial farming of grains, oil, seeds and meat, ensuring reliable supply chain for agro-industrial processing. And thus, we are working closely with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. A key initiative under this program is the development of the Afram Plains Agro-Industrial Zone with a focus on cassava, maize and soya bean value chain. We appeal to our revered traditional leaders to support this effort through land availability and encourage the business community to invest in agro-processing. In addition, we are supporting agro-processing clusters in sectors such as food, beverages, cassava derivatives, and cosmetics with a strong focus on women-led businesses by providing training, equipment, and market access.
That was the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosojari. And that's it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Good evening.
LPG I am from a jar and hotse nanso se ehun beti amawa agise wo de adi dwuma yi ansa na wo beso wuja no hwea na hwe se mframaja ho nka biara enje ho se wote mframaja ho pampana buebue apono ne mpoma no nyina eba ne saa a menso ana menum biara edi enyina mahoden eye adwuma dundum eja biara a waso wo ho na frɛ onimdifo mano mmehwe mawo fasamina nsuogu mframaja tontruwa no ano se wo ehuro a natural se etue ampa ta ehwe se droban na etwe mframaja no hu ntue na ta isesa droban no acha preko mfie mienu biara echi hwe se abri biara wo be soja no wo bepa wo matches ansa na waso wo stove hwe se mframaja ne ho asode no adum abri biara wo mfandi dwuma biara nkratuo yi efri National Petroleum Authority aswe.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Ah, go me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action no. Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Sankofa pepper powder. Sankofa pepper powder. Sankofa pepper powder. Akuna amonje krakra. Sankofa pepper powder. Sankofa pepper powder.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Welcome back. But this is not point blank. As you may well be aware, tonight there's a big football match between Manchester City and Aston Villa. The battle for the top 4. Manchester City surely wants to play Champions League football next season. Aston Villa has had a taste of it. They also want to play. So tonight the two sides meet in the battle for the top 4. My colleagues Bernard Abeku-Ochiri and Yao Minta are in the studio. Abeku, how big is this match?
This is big, especially for European football sport. So for Manchester City, they'll be looking at their chances of thinking, look, we've done this back to back in terms of winning the Premier League trophy. We've lifted the bar up there, and we need to do it again. They've got a good record against Villa. In the past 14 games, they've won 13 times, and it looks rich for them. But
But you can't trust City this season.
Yeah. They've been sloppy.
I think that's a problem. Yeah.
So Villa have got options as well. Oli Watkins, for example, is on bench today. He's starting Marcus Rashford, who's gotten very good record against City at the Etihad. So it looks in that, and the point is just one. It's just one point. Wow. Even the one is on 7th and the other is is on 5th, but it's very close. And a win for Villa paints the picture clearer for European football. And this time around, it spreads wide. There were 6 teams, in that space getting the opportunity. So Manchester City have this at the back of their heads as well. But for the manager, Unai Emery, he's gotten that experience to do this.
It's experience. Yeah. But I mean, it's happening at Etihad. Does that add anything to it?
That's what you can take away from Unai Emery. He's an experienced manager, I indicate. I say again, and he would want to do this in a grand style. I feel is the reason why he's taking the big decision to start Marcus Rashford in this game.
I see. Well, I'll be in the stadium. I mean, watching to see how it goes. Thanks so much. So, just take it out from here.
All right. Thank you very much.